Hey, so here's the laydown tonight. So you saw that I clipped the tire by Dealey Plaza. That tire's okay, I'm assuming. But there was another instance where I was behind in downtown. I was behind another guy that had his flashers on. He was, I think, Lyft. I think he was a Lyft driver. But he was in front of me. It's this very nice Hispanic gentleman who was running around opening the doors for the drivers, doing the right thing. But I had to ride, and me being impatient as I was, I attempted to go around him because he was in the middle of the road with his flashers on at a four-way stop, or at a two-way stop, I believe, over there not far from the AT&T Stadium. And I went around him, and on the right side, I clipped a little edge of a tire going about 5 miles per hour on the curb near a restaurant. Just the very, very edge of the curb. Just barely scraped up against it. I didn't even really clip it like I did at Dealey Plaza. It wasn't that big of a bump. But since I scraped it on the side, it tore just a tiny little pin-size hole. A healthy pin-size hole. Or I'd say more like a screw-size hole. In the right tire, which was the opposite tire I clipped coming in from Dealey Plaza, by Dealey Plaza, coming in from Dallas. So even though I was going about 50 or 40, I was going about 40 when I was talking to you by Dealey Plaza, and I hit that curb, that didn't do anything to my tire. But later on, I was by the AT&T, not AT&T Stadium, I'm sorry, American Airlines arena. That's what I meant to say. The American Airlines arena. I was right by that, by the restaurants there, and it was a little tiny scrape against the side of the sidewalk, very small. And then all of a sudden, I picked up these two riders, and I don't blame the guy that had his flashers on. It was my fault. There was no accident or anything like that, but he got in the car with his spouse or his partner or whoever it was, and they got in, and he goes, "Did you hear that hissing sound?" And I looked down, and my TPSM, my tire pressure monitoring system, or TPMS, light was on. And I looked out, and there it was, slowly going flat. So I had to release those two passengers, change the donut. I did a few small around the block pickups and drives, going pretty much slow. And now I got to trek my way back home. And luckily I have a discount tire program that I'm a part of. If you get the Discount Tire app, you'll be able to find that program. That's a really good program that's affordable and everything. So I'll be okay. I'm okay. I could go longer tonight, but for safety reasons, me being the donut that I am, I understand why some people have let me go for safety reasons. But for safety reasons, I'm going to have to call it a night. But there is part of Dealey Plaza right here. Right there is where the book depository building is, on this side to the right. But I have to make a thing to the left, so I'm not going to be able to look at it tonight. I'll let you see it here. Right there where JFK went down, the governor, and there's part of Dealey Plaza. So I got to learn to start focusing. Although these are interesting interviews, that I can have for entertainment value, and you can't have entertainment without risk. But I don't want to be another James Dean that, I don't want to get into James Dean's death. The thing is that as long as I'm focusing, I can do two things at once. But I need to find a stage and do these like one-man shows and stuff. I'm using like real life as my stage, and I'm currently not working right now. But I usually don't do any type of interviews or any type of soliloquy or any type of YouTube post while, at work, other than maybe like a photo or a really quick video. If I get a ride or a passenger or delivery or anything, I usually turn everything off. And I do this while I'm waiting, because you could wait 30 minutes at a time or more if it's laggy. Usually not that long. It's usually only a 10-minute wait at the most. But I'm calling the night off about 4 hours short or 5 hours short tonight. I'll have to make it up later. But I'm going to regain everything at Discount Tire tomorrow. It's not going to be that big of a deal. So it's really not that big of a deal. Although it is your day-to-day vicissitudes of struggle, of delivery and rideshare, and of being abandoned by your wife and family, or at least my wife took the kids. I wanted to report that. Oh, wait, wonderful. I have to U-turn at Dealey Plaza right here. So JFK didn't quite make it to Elm, at the end of Elm. But here is a side view of Dealey Plaza. This is where, right back there is where I clipped the curb. But boom, that's one area. I'll be passing that in just a minute. I'll be turning down Houston. I'll actually be going the same way that JFK went with the motorcade and the presidential limousine. And so here's the book depository building, and here is where Oswald just so conveniently had landed a job and knew and read the future and knew the pattern of the motorcade that JFK was in. He just happened to know by heart that he would turn to the left here. As genius as Oswald was, being the lone gunman probably. Boom, here we get ready. The first shot hitting him in the neck right here, which I don't think you can get that angle there. I think it was done from the other building behind here. Boom, there's the headshot. Headshot right here. Bam, JFK's gone. So the building directly behind him is the building they had to use for the neck shot. There's no way that bullet could have gone through his neck at the angle that it went through from that building on the 6th floor. Maybe, I don't know. Possibly at the angle of the motorcade, it could have maybe happened. The gunman theory is possible something. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. We'll talk about Oswald later. I don't think I'm going to write the Oswald story. I don't think I'm going to do the Ghost of Oswald. I think it's too much of a template. It's the Oswald story, just like Watergate, and just like, you know, any presidential story is a template. And you can still put your personality in it. I'm not against anyone writing about Oswald or any major anti-government story, really. You know, Watergate was a big conspiracy that was actually true with Nixon. And hey, man, the assassination of JFK can be like a Watergate. It's a great template to write over. What I mean by template, it's a moment in history that's set, that's been written about thousands and thousands of times, and different points of view. And it's a template to write on it by personality. Maybe one day. But those are for the real writers, you know. Those are for the real historians that are exploring history. And I think writing about Watergate and about JFK is great, but it's a template that I don't want to explore right now. I want to be able to go right from personality, right from my own life. That's what I understand. That's what God gives me. Those are the wonderful stories and names of people and the things that God gives me. I have to change the names a little bit just for their security, but even my own, you know, my character I'm using is Ash Cole. But I think that writing about from your own personality, from the things that the own conspiracies that happen to you, you know, your own experiences that you experience is not a template. It's not something that someone has written about over and over again. It's not a standard story in history. It's happening now. It becomes history. Thomas Paine, which Rainn Wilson did on Broadway. I mean, Tom Paine that's not a template. That's coming out of personality. That's coming out of original thought in a moment. And there's other one-man stories that come right out of your original experience. It's not from necessarily landmark history. It's not something that we're familiar with, like JFK or Watergate. When you write about your own life, that becomes new. Even if you fantasize and change everything, that's new. It's a new life that hasn't been explored. I think Williams did it. I know Sam Shepard always used an original experience from his life to fantasize about the Midwest, about the travel between California and New York, about the small towns that people don't know about, you know. But these little lives make a big difference. It's the small things in life that make a big difference. And these little lives that we can write about of our own experience, I'm excited about now. But maybe one day I'll choose a template to write about. My other play that I already have launched out in store is about the banking industry inside grocery stores. But that was because I experienced it and I sent it out there. The other one I think was Homesickness, which is about me living in a cabin in, I think it was Parkman, Maine, and Dover Foxcroft, Maine. I think it was set in Dover Foxcroft, Maine. There's another guy with a tire problem. But those come from original experiences that I'm experiencing, even though I fantasized a lot of homesickness. I was by myself. The story takes place between two women and one guy, an ex-wife and a young runaway hippie girl that's trying to get to California from Dover Foxcroft, Maine, and using this writer. I think his name was Peter Wright. Sharon Wright was the ex-wife, and Angie Summers was the lover. And then there's a pastor that comes in called Pastor Godley, or Jeb Godley, the pastor. And he comes in to try to, he comes in because of the snow, but he tries to save Peter Wright. And then there's the sheriff that comes in and tries to restore order between the ex-wife when she's haunting him, or she's stalking him while he's stuck in this cabin in Maine. And she tries to intrude between him and Angie Summers because she's sick and wants to control him. She has his daughter, Rain, which all this is fantasy. But it's weird because a lot of this stuff has come true. It's like self-prophesized writing, you know, with playwriting. But anyway, that was Homesickness. But now I'm excited about Russian Butterfly. I'm already 10 pages in it, and I'm continuing it. It'll probably be about 100-page, maybe an hour and a half, maybe an hour, but it's definitely going to be a 2-person show. And I think it's kind of about Russia and America, which I'm stoked, because I'm in an involvement in this, like, you know, emails with this Russian lady who is seeking love. God, it's such a hard thing to do with just words. I mean, you know, you got to go beyond words when it comes to love. It's not just words. It's physical. You gotta be together. You can't just experience love through words. But that's what's going on in this play. And also, it's about Ash Cole trying to keep his sanity in this abandonment, and, you know, this escape from the process server and child support, you know, trying to escape being a bond servant and losing his freedom completely. And also trying to regain his family and praying for reconciliation. So begging to God for mercy. You know, it's like, God, please have my wife wake up and come back. But it's the only thing that I can be excited about, because it's the only thing I can create at this moment, and in this form of abandonment. It's the only thing. It's the only thing I can do to keep my sanity and balance things out, is to be creative. All right.